Flight 19 was the designation of a group of 5 General Motors Eastern Aircraft Division PBM Avenger torpedo bombers. All 14 airmen on the flight were lost, as were all 13 crew members of a maiden PBM Mariner flying boat that subsequently launched from Naval Air Station, Banana River to search for Flight 19. The PBM aircraft was known to accumulate flammable gasoline vapors in its bilges, and professional investigators have assumed that the PBM most likely exploded in midair while searching for the flight. Navy investigators could not determine the exact cause of the loss of Flight 19. Flight 19 undertook a routine navigation and combat training exercise in PBM-type aircraft. The flight leader was United States Navy Lieutenant Charles Carroll Taylor, who had about 2,500 flying hours, mostly in aircraft of this type, while his trainee pilots each had 300 total, and 60 flight hours in the Avenger. The student pilots had recently completed other training missions in the area where the flight was to take place. Called Naval Air Station, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, Navigation Problem Number 1, the exercise involved 3 different legs, but the actual flight should have flown 4. 40 minutes later, another flight instructor, Lieutenant Robert F. Cox in FT-74, forming up with his group of students for the same mission, received an unidentified transmission. Base operations then asked if the flight leader's aircraft was equipped with a standard YG, which could be used to triangulate the flight's position, but the message was not acknowledged by FT-28. He did not acknowledge, but a few minutes later advised his flight change course to 090 degrees for 10 minutes. About the same time someone in the flight said, "Damn it, if we could just fly west we would get home. Head west, damn it." This difference of opinion later led to questions about why the students did not simply head west on their own. By 1750 several land-based radio stations had triangulated Flight 19's position as being within a 100 nautical miles. Flight 19 was north of the Bahamas and well off the coast of central Florida, but nobody transmitted this information on an open, repetitive basis. At 1804, Taylor radioed to his flight holding 270, "We didn't fly far enough east, we may as well just turn around and fly east again." A consolidated PBY Catalina departed after 1800 hours to search for Flight 19 and guide them back if they could be located. Flight leader Lieutenant Charles C. Taylor had mistakenly believed that the small islands he passed over were the Florida Keys, that his flight was over the Gulf of Mexico, and that heading northeast would take them to Florida. Had Flight 19 actually been where Taylor believed it to be, the flight would have made landfall with the Florida coastline within 20 minutes, depending on how far down they were. A later reconstruction of the incident showed that the islands visible to Taylor were probably the Bahamas, well northeast of the Keys, and that Flight 19 was exactly where it should have been. The Board of Investigation found that because of his belief that he was on a base course toward Florida, Taylor actually guided the flight farther northeast and out to sea. By the time the flight actually turned west, they were likely so far out to sea they had already passed their aircraft's fuel endurance. Finally, his flight ran out of fuel and may have crashed into the ocean somewhere north of Abaco Island and east of Florida. In 1991, a treasure hunting expedition led by Graham Hawkes announced that the wreckage of 5 Avengers had been discovered off the coast of Florida, but that tail numbers revealed they were not Flight 19. In 2004, a BBC documentary showed Hawkes returning with the new submersible 12 years later and identifying one of the planes by its bureau number as a flight lost at sea on the 9th of October 1943, over 2 years before Flight 19, but he was unable to definitively identify the other planes. The documentary concluded that despite the odds, they are just a random collection of accidents that came to rest in the same place 12 miles from home. But in March 2012, Hawkes was reported as stating that it had suited both him and the Pentagon to make the story go away because it was an expensive and time-consuming distraction, and that, while admitting he had found no conclusive evidence, he now thought he had found Flight 19. In the 2000s, searchers expanded their search area farther east, into the Atlantic Ocean, but the remains of Flight 19 have still not been confirmed found. The Navy initially said it was from Flight 19 but later recanted its statement. A plane found in the Everglades in Broward County was also postulated to be from Flight 19. The flight leader, Lieutenant Charles Carroll Taylor, graduated from Naval Air Station Corpus Christi in February 1942 and became a flight instructor in October of that year. The 1977 science fiction film Close Encounters of the Third Kind featured a depiction of the Flight 19 planes being discovered in the Sonoran Desert, apparently set there by extraterrestrial forces, and later their pilots are returned to Earth by peaceful alien captors. Flight 19 is a plot point in Grant Morrison's run on Doom Patrol, first mentioned in issue number 38. The 1993 comedy-drama series Key West featured a character named Roosevelt Cole, believed to be a posthumous child, meeting his father who was an airman on Flight 19.